Hello there everyone, and welcome to this Silver Age Dromai gameplay video. This is meant to be a follow-on to the deck tech that I did a few weeks ago. The goal of this video is to give you a bit of an idea of how I approach various matchups, how I play the deck. Now a caveat to this is I'm far from the best Dromai player, so there will be plenty of mistakes in these videos, hopefully some of which I can point out. Since I played these games, I've not reviewed the footage, so I am basically just watching it fresh. And the games are sped up, but I'll try and explain what's happening in case you're new to the game as things go along. And before we start, don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay, so first game is against RKO. I'm going first, so I pitch my 3 reds, and I play out my Pass Mirage because it gives me tempo. Either the KO swings at the Pass Mirage and kills it, or he swings at me, and it means that when I invoke a dragon next turn, I can swing it and it won't have Phantasm. So either way, I'm getting tempo. Now my opponent, I assume, didn't have go again here, so clears the Pass Mirage, so it's back to me. And basically I've gone first, made 3 Ash, and I'm starting with a 5-card hand, not having to have blocked, which is a fantastic place to be. I decide to play out my blue Billy Mirages here, I believe. I'm pitching that Asvali for later. If you'll note, my opponent has no Arcane Barrier on his equipment, and so that Asvali might win me the game later on. Now these blue Billy Mirages, they're not impressive, but they do give me a bit of a board state. And because my opponent hasn't blocked here, I swing the Ashwing just in case he's like trying to set up a big 5-card hand and set up my face. And I'm arseling the Dromai here. You could treat this like a fatigue matchup and try pitch stack double Dromais, but I don't think you need to. Compared to Guardian, Brutes have a lot less poppers, so it's more of a tempo game. And then my opponent just sets up and swings Claw at the Ashwing, and again gives me full tempo. So I think the line I take here is I'll go for Sweeping Blow, and I'll use my chess piece, Blossom of Spring, to invoke Uvia. I'm going to save the Dromai for when I see a better board, basically. I want to pair it with either a Miragai, another Dromai, or a Passing Mirage, or just when I have more dragons on field as well. So I'm summoning out Uvia here, just so I can start building that board presence. And my opponent's deciding what to do with his agility token here. Okay, so he sends in the Mocking Blow and he's targeting Uvia. Okay. So at this point, my opponent is just clearing my dragons, and I'm starting to think possibly he might be trying to fatigue me. So I have to be careful of that. Now I see my first Miragai here. This means that Yendrai doesn't have Phantasm when it attacks, so my opponent can only block. He can't blow it up by blocking with a popper. And if my opponent does want to fatigue me, he will have to kill the Miragai. Okay, so he's going face now. Possibly a better hand. Now here I was probably a bit worried about a pummel, but I just give the efficient block. Now seeing Pass Mirage on top of the deck is very useful because it means that next turn I can Mage Master Boots. It's very unfortunate for the Rabble. There's maybe an argument to save the Rabble there. It's probably a bit of a misplay, maybe I just forgot. But I guess I didn't want to arsenal it because maybe I didn't want to play the Dromai this early. I wanted to wait again for a bigger board. Now here, I'm just in a very, very strong spot. And I think my opponent has, at this point, decided to go face. He will definitely buff this Mocking Blow, and I'm just going to block it as efficiently as I can. Just block my 3 blocks, keep the 2 blocks so that I can play them out because Rabble is 4 attack and 2 blocks, so I may as well play it out. Okay, so here I imagine I play the Passing Mirage. Although it's not ideal because my opponent does have an agility token, so he could clear both of them. Yeah, so my opponent there I think didn't realise that the Yendrai didn't have Phantasm. Yeah, so he's just waiting on blocks. So the thing is actually, if he gives me a card from hand here, I don't think he can clear both Miragai and Passing Mirage. Okay, so my opponent didn't give me a card, so let's see what I did. Okay, I opted to play the Pass Mirage. maybe a bit of a greedy play because my opponent does have go again, but let's just see what he decides to do. Okay, so he just goes face here with the humble. Again, I'm a bit worried about a pummel because pummel is everywhere in this format. Now, this humble effect stops my dragons getting go again, so it's very, very strong. And you'll see Smash Up is in my deck at the minute. That's in for my Silent Stilettos. This is just to help the aggro matchups and these sort of popper matchups as well. But I figured I can't really use it, so I'll just keep it as a block card. Okay, so opponent swings past Mirage, clears one of the anti-phantasm things. So I invoke my Asvalai, and because my dragons don't have go again, I think I just swing the Scar here, yeah. I just make an Asvalai, swing Scar for Scar, nice and efficient. And it sets me up for next turn as well. Okay, opponent is swinging at me again, but this hand is absolute fire, so I'm happy to take all the damage. This should strip his entire hand, which is extra good because it means that Might tokens and the Vigors will all be wasted. So you can see I've got my Chromai in my hand, Chromai in Arsenal, I still have Mirror Guy up, and I also have Kylori in hand, so this is the perfect time to really stick it to my opponent. So Kylori is my first attack here because as a dragon, because it demands a block from my opponent, let me draw a free card is, well, it's very good, so it makes sense to block, especially because he still has one block with Knucklehead. And now I think I play out double Chromai, and unless he has 3 poppers in hand, I just win the game. Oh, my opponent wants to change blocks. Yeah, makes sense. So yeah, now I'm just going to play this Chromai. I don't play them both at the same time. I want to hide information. And because my opponent didn't pop that Chromai, it's basically game over. I imagine he maybe only has 1 popper, or, well, we'll see here. Yeah, didn't have any poppers left, so that's game 1. Game 2, this is against a famous YouTuber, Lupin Fiasco. He does a lot of streams. So if you want to see this game from the other perspective, then you can go check his stream out. I'll link it in the description. But yeah, he's a very good player. He's on KO. KO's a fairly difficult matchup for Dromai. It's very similar to our KO, but does a lot more damage. So again, I'm going to try set up a board. I'm not just going to throw random dragons here or there unless I really need to try and buy a bit of tempo. And yeah, I'm just going to look into block out, set up my board, and hopefully take a pivot turn at some point. So I just block, and then I can show the Blaze Headlong, which has 4 attack, and that means I don't have to discard. And I'll swing Yendrai here. Now, there was an argument in this scenario, because I remember what I did here. I played past Mirage after this. What I could have done instead is pitch the Kyloria, and then swung with the Blaze Headlong and arsenaling the Passing Mirage, because if my opponent really wants to, he can clear Mirror Guy and Passing Mirage, and then half of my Phantasm Prevention is out the deck. So here my opponent does decide to clear Mirror Guy, but then he goes face instead of clearing the Passing Mirage, which I don't think is correct. However, it does still take blocks from me, so it's not terrible. I've drawn another Mirror Guy here, so I'm seeing all my anti-Phantasm stuff very early. If this wasn't a Mirror Guy, I would block with the card in the middle. But because it is a Mirror Guy, I'm not sure I agree with this play actually. I should probably keep the Rabble and play it, because my opponent is clearly being very aggressive. I should just pitch the Mirror Guy away and force him to clear the Past Mirage or the Kyloria. But yeah, I think that this line was wrong. I should definitely swing the Rabble here. opponent's just thinking on blocks. And my opponent used his armor very efficiently here. Saving the armor to cover up Kyloria is pretty much the only on-hit you should worry about. Dust Up is a good on-hit, but Kyloria is much better. And we can see the power of putting Kyloria and Dust Up together. It means that the Dust Up does hit. Okay, so my opponent just swinging at my face here. Luckily I've got a very good blocking hand. And I think he's just deciding whether or not he cracks his beaten trackers, which he doesn't. So here I should probably just give the on the horizon. Could also give the blue billowing. Okay, so my opponent does crack his leg piece, so he's just trying to kill me at this point. Now I don't have to block this one. If I can keep that Scar for a Scar and send in Kyloria, I'll be in quite a nice spot. So he's going to send another attack, which is, this turn is phenomenal. So I have to give a card here. And because I'm so low on life actually, I think maybe there is a world in which I block with the Scar for Scar and just play the Ancestral Body, because that means next turn I can just give that and maybe 2 cards and his next attack doesn't matter, and because I got Mirror Guy, I can then play my 2 cards in hand down the Mirror Guy and I have full tempo again. This line also works, but I think with hindsight, maybe Ancestry of Body was better. Again, Kyloria getting blocks, and I'll swing my Ash Wings because even though I don't have Chrome Eyes up, I really just want to take cards out my opponent's hand because I'm low on life, and my opponent here doesn't respect the dragons because he's going to try and kill me. Okay, so him getting a 3 here, that's fine. It's pretty lucky for me. Seeing 2/2 blocks in this hand is horrid though. This is probably one of the worst times I could see them. So I need to keep 1 card in hand this turn so I can play Mirror Guy from Arsenal and give all my dragons go again. If I can do that, I'm in a very, very good position. If any of these snatches, either of these snatches have been a different 3 block, I think I win the game here because my dragons have go again. And my opponent's just deciding if he wants to full block this Kyloria. There are certain tricks you can do with Dromai. For example, running Arcane Polarity means that at instant speed I can give my dragon go again, but it's unlikely that I run it in this matchup. And yeah, my opponent is just trying to cave my face in. So I give, luckily I have sound cover here so I can cover all 7. And if my opponent comes in with 6 attack here, or less, I'm in a very, very good spot. But it's 7, which is perfect for killing me, and sadly I die. But hopefully that's a good demonstration of how to play the matchup. And now, next one is against Icelander. So I'm playing Seeker's Hood instead of the other one here because I'm not going to be short on Ash because I can pitch red cards for AB. Now this style of Icelander is what's known as Bullander. You can see the card Wounded Bull here, as it's named after, and basically it's a kind of tempo wizard. What she's going to look to do is play above rate attacks, kind of walk me down and then try and kill me with a spell from Arsenal perhaps. But this is actually quite a good matchup for Dromai. Even though I don't have a lot of blues, Icelander can struggle to clear the board very easily, and I can also build up quite a large amount of Arcane Barrier. I have Arcane Polarity, I have Sand Covers, and I've Oasis Respite, so I'm pretty well teched out for this matchup. However, because I don't have a lot of blues, she can really slow me down with Frostbites, so it's quite an even game if the Icelander knows what they're doing. And this was fused, so I think... Yeah, it's probably a while since I played into Icelander, so yeah, I just went back there, I put hold priority on so I can play the sand cover, and then that way I cleanly cover up the spell. So you can see the power of stuff like sand cover here into this matchup. And I'm not worried about going into 0 Ash because I know AB will be sent, I know a spell will be sent at me again. And I'm not swinging with Uvia here because Bullander does run a fair bit of poppers, and so I want Icelander to swing at my Uvia if she wants it dead. And if she wants to kill Uvia, the only things that can kill it really are a Wounded Bull, like you can see here, or Fyendel's Fighting Spirit. And maybe other cards that they play in this format that are poppers. So here I get unlucky, I don't see a card that can make me Ash, and I have no Ash, so I can't make use of these dragons. But you're going to see Thema on the right there. His effect is very, very strong for countering Icelander's hero ability. If this hits the board, Iyslander has to clear it at some point. There's just no way she can get away with not clearing it. So I pitch here to make some ash. And I guess I'm hoping my opponent hits me so that I can have a Scar for Scar live. Sadly, they did not hit me. This is a bit of a weird one. I could pop Blossom Spring here. Okay, I go for this. I go for the more ash efficient play. There was also a world where I popped Blossom Spring, played Themai, and also played the Ravenous Rabble too. It's a bit of a slower matchup, so I can get away with not doing that. So this is 6 Arcane. I can't see if this was fused. It wasn't fused, so I just ignore it. And now I ask my opponent if she has a popper. Okay, so if no popper was played there, I'd probably fire out the Kyloria. Oh, I do it anyway. Okay, no, I swing Billing Mirage first. Okay, yeah. And I swing the Ashwing. Because again, if my opponent has a popper, then it's harder for them to clear Kyloria. And Kyloria, as you'll see throughout all these games, is just a must kill, because drawing a card in this game is very good. Yep, we can see opponent prioritize killing the Themai over the Kyloria. Now, playing out the Kyloria first before the Chromai. Okay, I did it because I need the Ash, okay. But if I had extra Ash, I'd play the Chromai out first just to hide information. And here I swing the Ashwing. If my opponent pops it, I can just Arsenal the Dust Up, so I'm not losing any value. And here I swing Kyloria. No popper, excellent. Yeah, so I imagine it looks like, based on how this game's gone, my opponent is maybe on 6 to 8 poppers. Now here I have a choice. I can choose to make an Ash or an Ashwing. I choose just to make the Ash because I don't have any. Yep, I like this play. So I'm probably going to go Sweeping Blow, Chromai. My opponent pops the Chromai, might swing Dust Up and leave the other 2 dragons. But if my opponent doesn't have a popper here, they're in big trouble. Okay, so my opponent chooses to clear the Chromai with a spell. This does give me my action point back, so not all hope is lost. I guess I decide to swing the Ashwing here because I am not going to IP if there's a popper, because I have to pitch to swing it. There's maybe an argument for pitching the sand cover there, actually, because if my opponent does pop the dragon, that's a 2-card hand that they're playing with, so they're really not threatening much, probably. Okay, and here you can see a little trick with the sand cover. I can play at instant speed to give... Oh, wait, what am I doing here? Oh, I played out the mirror guy, wasn't paying attention. I'm happy to pitch a blue here because I've got so much ash, so yeah. At this point, my opponent has to have, again, a popper, but they just concede because even though they did have a popper in hand, it's probably the last one, and once Dromai has a big board like that, it's just, I'm going to swing all those dragons every single turn. Now here I'm going first into Viscerize. This is a bit of a different matchup. This is a lot more aggro, and you can see I'm playing the Blade Beckoner chess piece. This is just me trying something else out. I wouldn't recommend it. You'd see there that actually the Blossom Spring would have been miles better because I could have played the Kyloria. Now, it was a bit unlucky there that I saw Kyloria and a yellow, but I also the Kyloria because I want to block with the yellow. I don't want to play it out, so that's the reasoning for that one. Now, throughout these games, hopefully you've seen the versatility of Wave of Reality into physical attacks. It's really good, and into Arcane, it's really good as well. So it's just a very versatile arm piece. And I decide to not block any of this. Do I pitch? Okay, I pitch away my yellow. And do I block here? I do block. Okay. Alright, so I take the aggressive line here. And I don't hate this, but what I could, if I was against a slower deck, I would probably pitch the Snatch and Arsenal the Ender Eye. because I'm expecting my opponent to block it out, and if my opponent doesn't block it out, then I guess I could play the Enderai. This line gets more punished by a Popper, I guess, but going Kylorian to Snatch against an aggro deck, and they've basically I'm trying to take tempo back here, and this is a very, very good way to do it. It's a bit riskier, but sometimes you have to do it. Yep, clearing Kyloria makes sense. And so this hand here is very, very powerful. I'm going to swing Scar for Scar, swing Rabble, and then swing Dust Up, which is 12 damage, threatening an Ashwing, which is an amazing 3-card hand. So yeah, let's see what my opponent decides to do here. My opponent's used up his 1 armor block for the Kyloria earlier, so there's no efficient way to block it out. Okay. So yeah, I turn on Hold Priority because I have 2 Arcane Polarities. Seeing them both in the same hand is a bit unfortunate here. And as well, you'll note that my opponent's on Reaping Blade, which means that if I'm at higher life, I can't gain life. So somehow I have to make sure I get to lower life than my opponent if I want to play these Arcane Polarities. Okay, so it looks like my opponent's going for a big pop-off turn here, which is great. So I'm willing to take this damage, I'm guessing. Yeah, okay. Here I didn't realise that my opponent was playing Reaping Blade, or I just forgot about it. So obviously went back, but my opponent got some free information there. And yeah, so he swings a really big attack here, which means that both polarities can be played, which is great. But again, seeing that at the same time isn't amazing. I could have just like blocked 3 on this instead, and then, or like blocked 3, healed 4, it's a bit more efficient. Yeah, it's basically like I blocked 4 and a 8. So I get rid of the Themai here instead of the Sand Cover, because Themai isn't that good in this matchup. Oh, my opponent lets me draw here. If I'd had the other chess piece, this hand would have been better. So I have a decision to make here. Do I swing Sweeping Blow, or do I keep Sand Cover in Arsenal because I'm expecting my opponent to have a big turn? Because if my opponent's let Kyloria hit, then he's probably got a big turn. So I decide to take the more conservative approach here. My hand converts very nicely if I can keep it, so we'll see how much damage is coming through. Okay, Mothering Skies is very good into Dromai because what my opponent can do is swing an attack into Kyloria and then make the 3 rune chants, so he's actually getting quite a bit of value by sending out Kyloria. But I'm also still getting value too because my opponent's just sent a 4 power attack into my 2 power dragon, or 2 health dragon I should say. Okay, so I skip all the rune chants. I have no efficient way to pay for them, and I don't need the Ash either. So let's see if I decide to block with any of my cards. I just think, I just get my value from the chest, and then I send the full hand, I'm guessing. Yeah, I pitch away Sweeping Blow because I don't need Ash at the minute. Got plenty of Ash, so I send Billow Mirage, and now I'm guessing I play my Mirror Guy. And then I'll swing Mirror Guy and probably swing the Ash Ring too, because the AB is not important. If I had less Ash than I currently do, I would have played the Sweeping Blow, because as well I need to make sure that I can play out the Sand Cover in my arsenal, and then if I see any 0-cost dragons, I need to make sure that I can also play those as well. Because in this spot, when we're getting low life, playing like a 0-cost dragon like a Dromai, when I have dragons on board, is very powerful. We'll see here my opponent goes face. I'm sure he would have liked to have killed my Mirror Guy, but because it's 4 health, this Viscerai deck I don't think runs a lot of 4 power cards, and sending anything into Mirror Guy that's more than 4 power would probably feel pretty bad. So at this point I think my opponent's just trying to go face and kill me, but because I have Mirror Guy I think it's not going to work out. Yeah, and here I'm starting to take his hand. This is kind of like the death roll that Dromai puts decks into. It's just the more you block out, the worse it gets. Yeah, I think my opponent just takes this because I'd take both cards in his hand and we go again next turn, but my board gets a bit bigger. So yeah, GG's. That's how I play into Viserai. And that concludes the gameplay that I have for you. I tried to show a variety of decks just so you could get an idea of the versatility behind Dromai, the ways that you can play her. It's also why she's so much fun, because you get to have so many different game plans and gameplay styles depending on the hero that you're playing against. As always, if you have any questions, suggestions, or want to discuss anything about some of my choices, then feel free. I do enjoy doing this. And if not, and you made it this far, then I wish you a very good day.